One of my favorite things about short stories is looking forward to that satisfying ending. You have a short amount of time to get into the story, get connected, and understand what's happening, and then you get to be left with this great glowing of a short story. And today I'm going to help you find out how to do that for your own stories. I'm XP Lovecat, and I'm a developmental editor helping fantasy, sci-fi, and horror writers elevate their story writing, and this includes both novels and short stories. Today is part 4 of my short story series on the most common mistakes I see in short story writing. And today I'm going to continue analyzing the sci-fi short story by Matthew Kressel called The Sounds of Old Earth that was published in Lightspeed magazine. It will be linked in the description below if you want to take a read. Landing on a short story ending that is satisfying can be pretty daunting, so let's go through the elements that you should be looking out for. The first thing is tying back to your theme. You'll want to ensure that things feel full circle. So it's really about the theme is like an invisible thread that's throughout your full story, and you have the two ends that your beginning and your end are connected by that thread. So for example, if your character is overcoming a fear, then you'll establish the fear in the beginning and you'll show how they overcome or don't overcome that fear in the end, but you are connecting the 2 points together. This will give your story purpose, unity, and meaning. So let's head to the Sounds of Old Earth for a specific example of what this looks like. In the beginning, we see the central conflict of Old Earth and New Earth and Abner resisting change. So beginning is resisting change. At the end, we see Abner has actually gone to New Earth, and not only this, but we have his granddaughter showing him that she had brought the frogs from Old Earth onto New Earth so that they can start a new generation of frogs that are similar to what he felt like in Old Earth. So what this is showing is the adaptation of these frogs. They're able to adjust to this new environment and adapt to change. This is directly a reflection of Abner's ability to adapt to this change and embrace it. Even though he was so resistant to it at the beginning, we see this character arc that flows throughout the short story, ties back to the end, resisting change, and now we've grown as a character and now we are adapting to that change. Another thing to look out for is endings are often about a revelation and or giving your character a choice. A strong ending generally reveals something new about the character and showing their growth that they've gone through. So to do this, put them in a situation that forces them to make a choice. It makes them confront something about themselves, whether it's a fear, a desire, or a truth that they've been avoiding. That decision shows the reader really who they are, and it gives your character agency as well, which makes for an interesting character and someone who's actively engaged in the plot. So think, what are you trying to reveal about your character, and what moment is going to make them face that truth? The ending should really give us a view into how that character changed, or if they don't change, why they haven't changed, and this should be a somewhat surprising way of how they haven't changed. Okay, so here's where I really love the ending of The Sounds of Old Earth. The choice that Abner is given is a bit subtle, but his granddaughter essentially gives him the deed, and Abner makes the choice. He can either become detached, remain resistant to this change, not wanting to be involved in the new earth and the new ways of experiencing the things that he liked from the old earth, or he can be open and accept this gift and build something new. Abner realizes that he's not going to be able to recreate his past perfectly, but he is going to be able to take pieces of it with him into the future. So he's experiencing this change, embracing the adaptation, and really being open to this gift that his granddaughter has given him. Now, if you really want to know how to land your ending, download the short story worksheet below. It goes through the most common mistakes and exercises of how to work through those mistakes. The next thing to look out for is a sense of closure. Did the central question or conflict get addressed in the ending? There have been many short stories that end with a more open ending that doesn't tie all of the things in a bow, and that's perfectly fine. But we do want to make sure we're addressing the core conflict and adding some sort of closure there. If you are considering leaving some things up in the air, it's all about balance. You'll want to make sure you give enough for your readers to feel satisfied, but leave a little bit of hints and notes that still leave them wondering and thinking about your story. So let's go to the sounds of Old Earth. Thematically, this comes full circle, right? We have Abner starting off very resistant, clinging to Old Earth. This is what he knows, this is what he wants, this is what he loves. And then we come, and that thread is going all the way through until the ending, and we have him given a piece of new earth that he can rebuild and grow something new. This gives readers a sense of resolution as we've witnessed Abner's emotional journey. This journey from resistance to somewhat reluctant acceptance is the completion of that core conflict. The next thing to look out for is ending your story too late. And I see this quite a bit where the emotional journey and the conflict is resolved, but there is a continuation of the story for another 2 to 3 pages. Resist the urge to over-explain everything that's happened. You don't need to close the loop on every single detail. The goal is to have that final image, line, or feeling really linger with the reader. It's just absolutely the best feeling when you're reading a short story. You've finished, you've closed it, and you just need to take a second to sit in it. That is what you want for your readers of your short stories. And to do that, you're really going to want to make sure you're ending it not too late. You don't need explanation. You just need to close the loop on that core conflict. Okay, so I thought a lot about The Sounds of Old Earth and whether this ending felt like it had gone on too long or if it needed to end it sooner. Because essentially what we have here is Abner sets his house on fire and he's arrested by the police who are going to take him to New Earth. Then we have a kind of epilogue feeling section after that. That is the true ending. So what would happen if we actually ended it when Abner is taken by the police? Here's what the last line would be if we ended in that section. I was hoping to glimpse my property one last time as we lift off, but there are no windows. This is a prison ship. So the answer to the question, could we have ended the story here? The answer is yeah, we could have. But it would have had a different meaning to the story. This ending would be less hopeful and would add on Abner's defeat as opposed to new hope. It would be a stark emotional conclusion, but it wouldn't really show us the full circle of Abner's character arc because we still see that he would be resisting this change going to New Earth. In this version of the ending, it would feel like Abner's a bit powerless, and it's a bit of a bleak ending. The last line of where we actually end the story is, yes, I say, a big house with plenty of room for guests. That is in response to Rachel suggesting that Abner could build a home near this new area where the frogs she brought from Old Earth are. And so by Abner making this choice at the end and accepting this gift and saying, yes, I can rebuild, I can adapt, this is making this a more hopeful ending and bringing a character arc change and the full circle of this theme. And most importantly, I feel satisfied when I read this ending. That's all I have today for short story endings. And if you want to hear more short story content, check out my video on submitting to literary magazines and journals. This is bound to help your acceptance rate. Thank you so much for watching and happy writing.